Hello everybody, welcome to this 1v1 matchup between Macros and Pavlos, part of the 1v1 Winter Championship Tournament Series. I'm Philofanic, joining me today is Gameslayer. Gameslayer, what do you think about this map?
Where the water at? There's no water anywhere. Look at this plot thing. There's just no water anywhere. There's two patches. You could go as robotic and just that's basically all you can do. This is not a good map.
Fortunately, there are no nukes on the map.
Thank God for that, I guess.
That would be very, very painful. But yes, 2 robot spots is probably the order of the day. This one robot, this one spot by this high iron.
Glass colony. Where's the silicon?
Macros deciding instead to go expansive, where Pavlos going for a robot over here. So, Macros deciding he doesn't care about the water issues or the silicon issues.
Yeah, Pavlos has decided he's going to take that high silicon instead, which is understandable considering that silicon started fairly high, but that's always deceptive because everyone starts with 20 silicon, so look, it's already just 29. So that's why he definitely didn't take it at the very start as as part of his first claim. That would have definitely been a mistake. However, Macros has decided to take steel and iron for himself, which is nice because that means that he's immune to this Pavlos play of taking all this iron up. Although I'd have liked to see Macros potentially do the same thing, because Pavlos doesn't have any iron actually coming in for himself, but it looks like Pavlos actually got to the steel by first, so he's going to be able to upgrade, no problem.
Both players upgrade at almost the exact same time, Macros deciding to claim the close high water tile to himself and a high aluminum. Pavlos going into some high iron, a elemental quarry, high silicon, has one claim that he has not decided. Also going into the, I believe, the lone high carbon on the map.
Yes, the lone high carbon. There's a lot of lows, but that was the only high, which is going to be very useful because power is at 128 right now, and I can only imagine that he's wanting to use these 3 beautiful wind tiles that Pavlos has next to his base. Well, not quite next to, but on the cliff nearby.
Right, yeah, it's that line of 3 wind tiles there. Definitely something to throw down at HQ3.
We're not seeing anything like circuit overload on the market. The only thing that can actually shut down that would be dynamite or EMP. You don't want to dynamite this stuff, so an EMP, it's not as hard. It's harder to stop an EMP than it is to stop a power surge. But
instead,
it looks like he's going solar panels.
Yeah, solar panels instead. At least that's what he's decided to do for the time being. We'll see if he continues going the solar panels on HQ3 or not. Let's look at Macros really quick. Macros has gone on into a couple farms. He needs an additional 16k for the upgrade. Most of that is in glass, 6k worth of glass.
I'd like to see Pavlos at this point just put a lot of his money into glass. That's something that is quite a higher level of play, is to look at the colony and then put your money where the expenditure is, where the demand is. And in this case, if he just puts his money into glass, not only is he hurting his opponent from stopping them from upgrade, but you're also just making a nice bit of money of profit from the colony using it up.
Right.
But that power shortage, though.
Yeah, that
power shortage.
A new claim is available for auction.
Pavlos is doing a decent amount of shipping at the moment, losing 0.6 a second of power due to this. Lots of shipping for a HQ2, now HQ3 robot. His extra claim...
This is where you decide that you just want to just place down a lot of solar panels in a lot of places. Because that price right there is enough to get you through most of the rest of this game.
Yes, and Pavlos doesn't have much debt, only 24k, so he should be able to pay through most of this if he defends his power correctly.
Especially if Macros doesn't take power. He's got 4 claims that are unused. He's bought a goon squad, which is an interesting choice already. I don't quite know where he's going to throw that, but is he looking to take a geothermal? Oh no, he's going into wind. Okay.
Going into a line of wind, so he's going, fortunately for him, well, I was going to say carbon was cheap, but it looks like Pavlos is also going into wind.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
he
if
just spent his stock power right now.
Yes, he's
Good.
instead deciding to go into 2 win instead of that line of 3.
2 win, 2 solar. It makes it very difficult to stop. Just with the black market alone, whereas Macros has gone into that 3, but that 3 wind turbines are up during the night, so the solar panels aren't doing anything right now, so Macros is going to be able to just skim a good amount off their top to prevent Pavlos taking all of that delicious money. An interesting dynamite comes out. What do you think of that?
So if Pavlos followed that dynamite up by purchasing heavily into carbon, which I guess he's not really doing, then it would make a little bit more sense. You just make that the rebuild price a little bit more. I'm not sure even at that point if it would have been worth it.
It was only 40 carbon. He only spent 3k to rebuild that. I mean, it shut him down for a good like 20 seconds, but an EMP would be 90 seconds, which is a lot more preferable in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't follow it up with a purchase into carbon to make it more painful to put the wind turbine back up, so I would say it's not worth it.
Okay, solar panels have come online, 1,000 a second of power right now coming out for Pavlos, but Macros is at 600 per second. Oh, the EMP comes out, hits the wind turbines, hits one of the solar panels. They're not quite as far away as he'd have liked to stop them both getting hit, but he's managed to reduce his debt to virtually 0 off of this.
So Macros hit that EMP without buying any SPY, so I guess he's been keeping track of that Pavlos has not bought any goons on the black market, and only Macros to date has bought a goon. Unless I'm missing
No need to check
a goon.
when you know he's not got one.
So
Cold Fusion coming out here. Okay, so Cold Fusion is always interesting because on the one hand it saves the person a lot of debt. On the other hand, if Pavlos gets this, which, okay, Macros got it. Macros could have easily let Pavlos get this and then just had the ability to get a ton of money for his water stockpiles.
Right. Get into water, buy up some water to drive the price up, to put it just below power, have that water increase and just sell it down a little bit so it's always just a little bit lower than the power price.
But of course, the problem with that is that Pavlos is still, he's making money on power right now, so it wouldn't have been as powerful a play as before. It would have just made both sides make a lot more money. But I mean, then again, you've got to actually win the auction, right? That's 14k of debt right there.
Mm-hmm. Steel shortage coming in.
Pavlos does not want to see this. Pavlos was actually Pavlos was auto-selling his steel for a long time there, which I was very nervous about, and it's definitely going to bite him right now.
Continuing to sell steel as the price goes up.
He knows Macros bought into it, but Macros bought into it because he needs it to upgrade. So might as well buy now than buy later.
Right, Macros currently only has 2 steel mills up, and both of those have been frozen by Pavlos.
Pavlos finally getting his 3rd steel mill out. It's actually quite surprising that neither side's ended up with the 3rd steel mill until HQ4 for Pavlos.
Well, steel was, until this shortage, relatively cheap, so it's a bit understandable. The game deciding that steel is too high. Pavlos is deciding to go into some glass production right now. Deciding that he would like to make some money off of both Macros purchasing glass for upgrades and the colony, which is currently demanding 0.8 glass a second.
What the heck?
I'd say that probably wasn't worth the money to blow both of them up. Just going out on a limb there.
There's multiple questions there. 1, why did he do that? 2, why did he have 2 dynamites stocked up?
Yeah, that seems like an inefficient use of the black market, to put it more politely.
But, well, also, Pavlos has had to now pull up that elemental, the solar panel for the elemental quarry, but he's using the nice robotic adjacency of the power to give himself that 3 silicon a second, which is going to be very useful since Macros is only going to be operating off of a low silicon.
Unclaimed.
No one
Right.
takes the underground nuke, surprisingly, considering that could be used to great effect on the opponent's water. I can understand Pavlos not bidding for it at first, because Pavlos would rather no one get it than Macros get it, by far. He does not want to pay debt himself to get the money to have to get the underground nuke. But Macros, that could have been very useful for Macros to have.
The black market is
Right.
open for business.
Power is dead, has been dead for a while. Both players are still auto-selling power. It is at $2 a second. Sorry, $2 right now. And Macros is also making $2 a second off of it. He's decided to replace one of those. Okay, now he's decided to connect up that electrolysis reactor. It's no longer a unconnected electrolysis reactor, but makes all his life support connected in a nice line. There are no power surges on the black market, so it's not as bad perhaps as it first seems, but still nice and easy to hit all of the life support with one single black market item.
Also of note here is that Macros has turned off his aluminium mine, deciding it wasn't worth the shipping cost, but now maybe he wants it back. He's still got a little bit of aluminium to go in order to get to the 320 he needs for the upgrade, and he's shut out quite heavily right now. This white market is starting to rain down.
That aluminum is making 70 a second, not including the $10 in shipping costs, so that's 60 a second if you include the debt. That's still very profitable. It's a mistake to have it off.
Electrolysis, fuel is now dead. Chemical refineries are looking a lot more profitable than you might appear to be because Pavlos has got 600 carbon in his stockpiles at this point, and he was hit by an EMP himself.
Right.
On his deal.
Macros deciding to go into a little bit better black market aggression than those two double dynamites that we saw earlier. Oh, Pavlos is the first.
The black market
Yes, Pavlos is the
online.
first to HQ5 and has a nice 40k lead in cash right now. That lead will decrease a little bit due to the EMPs, but it doesn't look like it's decreasing enough.
Okay, why again was another dynamite purchase? Is there been a buffed dynamite that I'm not seeing or
Can't let
something?
them get this.
Like, I understand people are thinking to themselves, EMPs are expensive, but these dynamites are going to get progressively more expensive, and as a robot you want to keep that dynamite cost cheap because of the expensive advantage of having off-worlds.
So, but even so, EMPs are not that expensive. They are 16k for Pavlos and 14k for Macros. They're still...
And interestingly enough, dynamites are 10k each because they've both been buying a lot of dynamites this game so far.
Yeah, so I don't see any reason not to use EMPs. It's way more effective, shuts down way more tiles, and lasts a lot longer.
Pavlos is trying to make a run on this, but he's gonna be a bit slow. He's not got nearly enough to make this work. He's still got 2 unused claims at this point as well. I'd like to see him use those claims.
Yes, it would be useful to use those claims.
He should have moved into a hacker array. A single hacker array here to hack a single thing that he's already got, like silicon, for example, would be devastating and would allow him to get enough to have made this buy.
Yes, and if you don't think of that, at least move into something that does make money your opponent's not in, say chems, like you mentioned earlier.
Chems are up there at that nice 39 a second.
What Pavlos is doing with his aggression is forcing Macros to defend himself instead of upgrading to level 5. The only issue is Pavlos' money is all tied up in Macros' stock and isn't doing anything for him.
Yeah.
And those 2 claims.
This situation, you say he's forcing him to defend himself, but you'd be forcing him to defend yourself anyway, even if you hadn't have bought that. Because there's no way when your opponent's there with like 80-90% that you're going to press that upgrade button.
True.
Still not. He's transitioning out of his steel into chems, which I like as a good move. But he's still got these 2 unused claims.
Yeah, you
at this point.
Needs to use them for something. Even like you said, hacker array. Pleasure dome's only
Pleasure
8K.
dome. Yeah, sure.
Anything's better. Okay, he's finally used them. He's constructing 2 farms.
Fair enough. There we go. They make money. Good.
They
That's
do make
fine.
money. He is going to use more water than he's pulling in, but Macros is also using more water than he's pulling in.
Macros has just sold out of his glass kilns and put iron mines there instead. Both sides now have over 700 iron stockpiled, and it's at $3.
Yeah, so moving into the iron mine is puzzling, to say the least. Looking at Macros' perspective, there are... Well, glass kilns are still making 57 single by themselves.
That 13K. That's nice, because if Pavlos had taken that, he could have potentially used the rest of that, that financial instruments, potentially get the rest of the buy here, because he's at 77%. He's actually really close to Macros at this point. Macros is almost ready to defend himself, though, but this is actually a lot closer than I thought it'd be at first.
Right, and Macros... That makes the decision for Macros to move into the iron mines, which make absolutely no money.
He's not making any money at all with anything he's got at this point.
He does
but he
barely defend himself with 2k left.
All of the prices. All of the prices are now gone. That was a panic. That was a panic sell down. He can no longer upgrade. He can no longer do anything. Pavlos immediately just buys up 400 steel because he's like, oh, my opponent just crushed all of the prices. Now I can do this.
Buys up 400 steel and decides to move into steel production himself. Perhaps Pavlos is thinking that it's time to build an Offworld to finish the game. Offworlds would only cost him 54k in resource usage, only needs an additional 32k to actually build that Offworld.
Definitely one of the cheapest offworlds you can ever make if you bought the steel when it was $1, and though that food price is really good for the offworlds.
Yes, let's actually look at that. 56k in profit and 640 price per food. Anybody who gets an offworld market up and can successfully keep it up will be rolling in the dough.
I do want to see here that Pavlos should have, at this point, sold a stock out of Macros, because you're not going to be able to make that buy at this point. But there's no way Macros is going to actually spend to buy that 6th stock in him before he can upgrade. So Pavlos was perfectly okay to just use Macros as a bank here and just be like, I'd like to withdraw some money in order to buy an offworld, please.
Yes, that would be preferable to keeping it. And it sounds like
that's exactly what he's doing now.
He heard you. At least
stream cheating right here. God.
At least his ears were burning. And decides to sell out. It is the much better move going into a hologrammed off-world market.
Yep. On the one hand, holograms are considered quite weak in a 1v1 because it's very difficult to use them effectively because your opponent should always be looking at your base. But on the other hand, it was a very cheap hologram, and it helps deal with other hologram shenanigans that Macros might create by raising the price. Spies are on the market, and Macros does not have any up at the moment.
In fact, only Pavlos has a single spy on Macros' wind turbines. This hacker array is won by Pavlos. Macros should immediately put down a spy on the hacker array.
Pavlos has listened to my advice and has built a hacker array. I'm very proud of him.
Immediately moves into a chemical shortage.
I'm perfectly okay with that. Macros doesn't even have any carbon coming in. Cannot do anything with it.
No,
Macros is now actually grabbing carbon as we speak actually.
He did upgrade to HQ5. The only thing about that hack is, well, first of all, Macros does not... Okay, he has listened. He has thrown down a spy on it. The only issue is Macros doesn't really have much money to buy into the hack. He also, even if he did buy into the hack, he should know that Pavlos should have a decent amount of chemical stockpiled. But Macros decides to buy into the hack anyway, at least a little bit.
This is one of those things where he's not built in much, so he should be able to just skim a bit off the top, hopefully, without Pavlos even noticing until it's too late. I don't like how Pavlos is... Okay, he is making a pattern lab with that last claim. He had an unused tile for quite a while there whilst he was building the offworld. But now he's launching food. He has begun the food launches. Very profitable at 48k. Even with this dust storm, which is going to cause food price to skyrocket, that's still quite high. Right. Chemical shortage has begun, and Pavlos has already sold out of it before it started.
That's a mistake.
Macros is just getting a free shortage out of this.
Free shortage, buying into it, realizing that Pavlos made a mistake. However, Macros is currently making a mistake of his own. He has one tile that is currently sitting here with nothing constructed on it, and 2 claims sitting on its base waiting to be used on something.
Yep, there's no reason why that shouldn't have been a glass kiln. There you go. Food is looking good if you want to just transition into that final food tile. There's one just to the right of that. Oh, but okay, well, frozen out. Now you can place that tile. See? It's all good. Waiting is fine.
Waiting's fine. He is moving into slant drilling, which will take care... Well, give him... Yeah, that should take care of his water.
That makes sense now why he was
high.
holding on to the claim tile, because he's wanting to put that next to his silicon, I suspect.
Yeah, then I'll also use another one for the silicon. That also makes sense. Get a double medium.
Thinking Machines, however, is coming up for Pavlos in 38 seconds. Another hacker array. Ooh.
The game
well,
has decided to correct both players' errors of not going to hacker array in 1v1 by offering 2 hacker arrays to whoever wants to pay the debt for them.
If Pavlos takes this, they're both spied. But Macros probably wants to even the score at this point.
Right, Macros also needs something to pull back into contention in this game. Right now, Pavlos has 161
very much
cash and resources, a Offworld that's launching, now 43k launches, and 3 stocks purchased into Macros, versus Macros has 47k cash on hand, and is going to lose the race to Thinking Machines.
Yes, unfortunate for him, he has lost that race. If I was him, I would have potentially placed a spy there on that pattern lab going, I wonder what my opponent's getting, and then I would have accidentally got the Offworld, and I'd be like, I meant to do that all along. It would have been great.
Yes.
Food is extremely profitable at this time, though. I would love to see Pavlos transition out of electrolysis and into food.
Yeah, food's extremely profitable, and Pavlos is the one who's driving up the price of food by launching it without making any...
He's actually surplusing it right now.
He is surplusing food. I suppose if you're not going to go into food, then at least surplus it?
Yeah, but why would you not go into food? Your opponent only has two food tiles in total, and he's consuming food because he's an expansive player. Where he's only getting 0.3 food a second off of both those greenhouse farms.
Well, now he's moving into food after he decided to reduce the price of food with a hack.
Fair enough, I guess.
So, right move, wrong order of execution, I'd say. And by wrong order, I mean just don't do the hack in the first place.
Yes, definitely. However, he's started his electronics shortage. He's not buying fully into it. I don't really know why he... Okay, just before it started, he sells out once more, but he buys back into it. He realizes his mistake. There we go.
Macros, on the other hand, did not notice the hack in time, is not sitting on any electronics. Instead, he's chasing the price of electronics by moving into 3 electronics factories.
Steel shortage coming out right now as well. Macros did not manage to sell out in time. Oh, that's unfortunate. He had 600 steel. If he had just crushed that price when Pavlos bought in, that would have been huge. But unfortunately, he did not.
On the bright side, his off-worlds are dirt cheap.
The black market is online.
Yeah. That's a good question. Why do you even have the steel mills back up if you've got 600 steel right now and Offworlds are 200 each?
I don't know. It seems like Macros is focusing too much on the hacks and everything else, but it's not going to matter because Pavlos is almost at the buy.
Almost at the buy.
And the auction decides to
the game does not want this game to end.
The game by at least an additional 10 seconds.
Oh, and both players are bidding on this. Okay, cool. 25k, that's totally going to make the difference, and 100%, but he has to actually cancel the launch, and he's probably not going to notice the cancel the launch just quite yet, but he's going to still get it in, there we go.
Pavlos takes game 1 against Macros in a interesting game between the two. Pavlos, I think, had the better found at the beginning, identifying that any sort of HQ that consumes resources would be weak on this extremely low water map. There is only 1 unclaimed water tile on the map right now, and one of these water claims from Macros was from slant drilling.
There you go, that was game number 1. We're going to be seeing another game at least, so... Well, of course we are. What am I saying? Ignore me!
So, if you were Macros, Gameslayer, and you misidentified the map, found it as expansive, like, what stands in your mind? What would you do differently?
Well, honestly, I was okay with the expansive choice in the first place, so I would probably say do nothing and change absolutely nothing, except turn on your aluminium and just keep a closer eye on your own base. He definitely made some strange decisions with his early game choices. He went into wind turbines, which was great choice though. But then he's got all these twos, no triangles, no triangles. It's upsetting.
And then both players do something that many of us who are newer to the 1v1 scene struggle with, which is mismanaged hacks. I think we found 2 additional students to Yaren's School of Hacking.
Yes. The School of Hacking requires new members.
I myself should probably enroll for classes. So that is not a not meant to be too harsh of a criticism.
No, not at all. Not
Pavlos did make 279k on this Offworld.
Whew, beautiful. Those are some good prices. It's surprising usually to see a robot actually manage to get into the Offworld before the expansive player. Macros definitely had a lot of trouble at level 4 getting to HQ5 and getting that Offworld up. To be honest, this is one of those games where just get the Offworld up, don't bother about HQ5. That price was so good, it was worth it.
Yes, and then both players are about equal in their use in the offensive black market. 5 and
both equally strange and weird with their dynamite purchases.
Yes, I was going to get to that about the odd dynamite plays by both players, blowing things up when they should have been freezing. And
but hey, at least Pavlos did freezing. Macros used half as much EMPs as Pavlos did, unfortunately for him.
Yes.
But as an expensive player, as I've mentioned, it is harder to get that money in, especially when your primary market is steel for a long time, but steel's basically at $1 because both sides just have so much of a stockpile of it.
Yes, so a few places that both players could clean up on their 1v1 games, which something that could be said for most of us not named Blues or Death Tacticus or Yarand.
Or me, please.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment. Diplomatic of you, you're so kind.